Hi, this is Paul Lynch from Tech Model Channel, and doing a short video in my spray area. It's a little cupboard at the top of my stairs, and basically it's my split spray. I've got a few paints, as you can see in the background, mainly Vallejo now. Got a few Tamiya bits and some Mr. Surfacer spray cans, which are handy to have. But as I said, I've been using Vallejo, and the last primer I used with Vallejo, using that 50-50 mix. I think it's good. I haven't used it on their other colour primers, but I'm presuming that it's going to work the same, and I will try and test that on one of my next models that needs the red primer. I will try and do that. Right, here we go then. So just a quick, I talked about airbrushes, Switcher did, and he is right, but really I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what airbrush you get, as long as you've got the paint mix correctly, it will actually do the job, and that's what it's all about. So but I did buy, well, just before I retired, I bought about 3 airbrushes, believe it or not. One I've really, well, 4 if I count the one I've had for years, but the 2 I use now primary for my modelling is a single action airbrush and a double action airbrush. And the difference between that really is a single action is when you press the trigger down, you get the air and the paint at the same time. That's where I look at it. But when you have a double action airbrush, you get pressed down on the trigger, you get the airflow, and then you pull back on the trigger to actually give you the paint flow. So it gives you more control. But the single action airbrushes are still really good. You can do a lot with them. But I just use the single action one primarily for base coats and primer coats, because of the actual difference between the needles is slightly different. It's got a bigger hole, if you like to call it that, at the end of the airbrush. So I like that. Now, this is my single action airbrush. This is excuse me, still got my cold. Is the Iwata HP M2. They do an M1 version, which is a smaller cup, but I do like the bigger cup, and I do mix my primers in the cup now. With my paints, I still go to my mixing dish, mix it, and then I use a paintbrush to drop it into the into the actual cup. But with the primers, I just mix it in there, and that 50-50 is what I do with this. So it really worked well, and I'm going to use that formula for all the Vallejo primers, but I don't know whether it works as well on the other colour primers, like the sand, the red oxide type colour. I'm not sure if it really works really well with that, but I'm thinking their formula should be the same for all their primers, and if it is, it's going to work really well. But I will try that, so that's good. So that is my my single action airbrush. As I said, they do 2 versions, and basically for adjusting the paint flow, it's a knob back here. I don't want to put it back because, believe it or not, the flinners have all come out the front if you're not careful. So that is an adjustment tool on the back, and it's really good. I like it. It's simple, it's easy. It's the easiest airbrush to clean. Really is the easiest one to clean, because when I pull that out, that pulls the pin straight out. You can get straight in there. It's easy. It's my favourite brush for cleaning, I've got to be honest. Right, the next airbrush I've got is this one, and this is the Iwata HPC Plus. It's a really good brush. I really like it. It's good for fine work. Again, it's got that cup on the top. I like the fact it's gravity fed, and I do like, I know Switcher I think doesn't like the cup on the top of the airbrush. I actually love it, and so it's in line. It doesn't affect my view at all, and I think it's another one of those easy brushes to clean, because everything is, when you put the cleaning fluid, or even the little brushes that I've got, you push them down once you've got all the needle obviously out and everything. You can push it straight down, and it hasn't got much of a curve to do to clean it. So I like it. I must admit, I really enjoy it. So there's a great airbrush, and that's the one I use for everything else. I don't use for the HP one. The single action airbrush. I use this brush for everything else, fine details and camouflage patterns and all that sort of thing. So that's really a good airbrush. I like that one at all, and that's the HPC Plus. Really nice airbrush, and I bought those before I retired, so now I've got that stuff there, so I'm hopefully hoping that they're outlived me, basically. Right, what else is it? Oh, I have got me M1A2 tracks all built up, as you can see. I did the same method as what Switcher did. Glued them, clamped them and left them for 48 hours or so, and they really are solid. And these actually, I do a lot. I've got a few sets of tracks for models I want to build, and one's for the old mouse, believe it or not, and there they are. So I've got that for the mouse, and so I'm looking forward to that. And to be honest, people say that's a waste of time, but I got it at the time, so there's a reasonable price, so I purchased it. So here we go then. So what we're going to, in here you can see I've got my body, and I think I don't even see how smooth that is, because it's not the best of. No, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, oh, you can just get it now. Ah, there you go. There you go. You can see how smooth. You can see how smooth that paint is. It really is smooth. So I was really happy with the actual Vallejo primer doing that 50-50 mix. Oops. There you go. So anyway, that's about it then. I think one of my next builds is going to be the next the M1 again, the M1A2 Tusk 2. I think, but I've got to finish my JS7 for the International Modelers bash for the what was it, Rush from Russia with Love at SIG. So I want to get that. So that'd be when I finish building this one and painting it. That would be the next thing that comes straight into it to actually start the painting process of that as well. That kit's already been built, completely done, so that's okay. You've already seen that on my previous videos. But anyway, so I hope that's okay with you. And that is the two airbrushes I use. And I still say that to Switcher's right, that it doesn't matter about whether it's a cheap airbrush or expensive airbrush. The paint mix is the definite thing that you've got to get right. If you don't get the paint mix right, no matter if I put it in, if I get the paint mix wrong, or even on these airbrushes, they're just going to clog up anyway. Yeah, I think the single action one's got a little bit more tolerance, but even that clogs up. A little tip I've done is I've got a little, where is it? I've got to find it now. I've got a brush around here I use for basically anything, but I keep that and a bit of thinner's veil, so as I'm spraying, if I think the brush is clogging up, I always have a bit of tissue in the spray booth, and I spray on that and keep checking to make sure it's flowing. But if I look round and look at the tip, all I do is just give that like that, little scrub around, clean it out, a quick spray on a bit of tissue, get my paint flow back, and I'm away again. As I said, I didn't have too many problems with that. I think it was about 3 times I had, and for the whole time I was spraying on and off over the 2 days to get the undercoat on, I think it only actually clogged up 3 times. Yeah, so good tip is to obviously keep a brush with the brush will never affect the needle either, because they are a bit tender. This one's a meaty needle compared to the actual HPC Plus. This one is a bit meatier, and I'm not going to tell you because I've got my cleaner in. I just realised. Yeah, so just a little tip, bit of thinners, wipe it around there every now and then. You'll keep the old flow going as well, keeping it nice. With this particular airbrush, all I do as well is if it feels it clogging, I close it up, open it up, rinse off the front, and I'm away again. So as I said, only clogged up 3 times, so it's pretty good. Right, I think that's it for this video, and like I said, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.